When people ask me what I want to become, I freeze. Not because I don't care, but because I care so much that I'm terrified of choosing wrong. And maybe some of you know that feeling too. It's senior year. Everyone suddenly talks like life is a race that already started. People around you seem so certain. Certain about their future, certain about their passions, certain about who they are. And then there's you, standing there with questions no one teaches you how to answer. What do you love? What are you studying next year? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? 10 years? Sometimes I can't even picture myself next month. Slowly, without realizing it, those questions stopped sounding like curiosity. They started sounding like pressure. Pressure to know, pressure to decide, pressure to have your entire life figured out before you've even had the chance to fully discover yourself. And that's when I realized something. Most of us live inside invisible frames. Frames made of expectations, grades, achievements, fear, comparison. And the strange part is, nobody really forces us into them. Sometimes we walk into them ourselves because having a clear answer feels safer than uncertainty. Safer than saying, I don't know yet. So I tried to figure everything out. I looked at careers that sounded impressive, paths that made sense on paper, choices that seemed certain. And every time I thought I had finally found the answer, something still felt incomplete. Because there's a big difference between choosing a future and truly connecting to it. And I think a lot of people spend years trying to build their entire lives around answers they were too afraid not to have. That was the moment I started asking myself a different question. Not what am I supposed to become, but what makes me feel alive. And honestly, I didn't immediately find the answer. I wish I could stand here and tell you there was one magical moment where everything suddenly became clear. There wasn't. It happened slowly, in little moments. Moments where I forgot about pressure. Moments where I was curious instead of afraid. Moments where I stopped trying to predict my entire future and simply explored. And that's when I realized something. And that's when everything changed. Because I realized something powerful. You do not discover yourself by forcing yourself to have every answer immediately. You discover yourself through exploration, through trying, through changing, through growing, through allowing yourself to become someone you couldn't have imagined before. Sometimes we treat life choices like permanent definitions. One path, one major, one decision that is supposed to determine the rest of our lives. But people are not meant to stay the same forever. We grow. The person you are today is not the final version of you. And maybe that's not something to fear. Maybe that's something beautiful. Because imagine how many people would feel free if they stopped believing they had to have their entire life figured out all at once. I used to think freedom meant having the perfect plan. Now, I believe that freedom is trusting yourself enough to keep exploring, even when you don't fully know where you're going. To understand that uncertainty is not failure. It's part of becoming. And the reason we feel trapped sometimes is because we were never meant to stay inside one frame forever. Maybe the frame was only meant to be a starting point, not a prison. If there are people listening to me right now, especially students my age or younger, standing in front of decisions that feel too big too soon, I just want you to know that you don't have to rush into becoming someone just because everyone is asking you to. You are not behind, you are not late, and you are not supposed to have your entire future figured out right now. It's okay if you do not know yet. It's okay if things feel unclear. Because remember, sometimes clarity doesn't come before you start. It comes after. Today, if someone asks me what I want for my future, I still don't have every answer. But at least I'm no longer afraid of that. Because now I understand that life isn't something you figure out at once. It's something you grow into. And maybe the most beautiful parts of our lives, the passions we haven't discovered yet, the people we haven't met yet, the versions of ourselves we haven't become yet, can all be found when we allow ourselves to look beyond the frame. So, if you feel lost right now, if your future feels uncertain, if everyone around you seems more sure of where they're going, maybe that doesn't mean you're falling behind. Maybe it simply means your story is still unfolding. And maybe growing up is not about having your whole life planned out. Maybe it's about having the courage to keep trying and exploring, even without having every answer. My name is Zoghbi. I'm a grade 12 student, soon stepping into a future I still don't fully know. But for the first time, I'm not afraid of that. And I think I'm ready to discover what exists beyond the frame. Thank you.